Hello everyone and welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Mike and today we are beginning our 2-day article looking at a very interesting new sport. This sport is so new and also so interesting, but really so new that you have probably never even heard the name of this sport. So today we're going to be learning a little bit about it. I'll be introducing it to you and also to me because it's a new sport for me. And the best thing about this sport is you can do it with your best friend. And I don't mean your best friend from school or your best friend from somewhere else. I mean your best friend with 4 legs. If it's a dog. If it's a cat, no, you can't do this sport. But if it's a dog, it is perfect for you guys. It is actually designed to be a human and dog team sport. And because it's a new sport, it has a new name, something you've probably never heard. It's called Canicross. We're going to explain that name a little bit later. But yes, if you love to go for walks with your dog, and I hope you do, because dogs need to go for walks, if only to, go to the bathroom. But if you want to make your dog walking experience much more exciting and maybe even turn it into a sport where you compete against other humans and dog teams, then Canicross is the sport for you. So, we are going to be learning about Canicross, what the sport is, where it came from, how you do it, and hopefully it might be something that you and your 4-legged friend, your friend with 4 legs, your dog, something that you and your dog will be really interested in. But definitely, the title is absolutely true. Canicross, a team sport like no other. Let's check it out.
What do you get when you put dogs and cross-country running together? You get Canicross. It's from Europe, and before it became a sport, it was a way to train sled dogs in the summer.
All right, Canicross, a team sport like no other. As I said, this is a new sport with a new name, so I will try to explain what Canicross, the word, means. It's a sport that you do with a dog, and the human and the dog will both go running cross country. And that's what the cross is telling you there. This is a good term to remember because many sports where you don't do it on a track, like a normal running track, the kind you see outside schools, these sports don't happen on there. They will happen in the countryside. You will be running over fields or through forests or through sort of nature. We often talk about motocross. This is when people take those special motorcycles and they go driving through the woods. They go over jumps. They get really dirty and muddy. It's not the kind of sport that they do on a proper racetrack. So motocross, cross-country, Canicross, sports that you do when you're outside in nature and you're going through nature as you race, as you do this sport. In this case, you're doing it with your dog. So we begin the article with a question kind of getting us to think a little bit. What do you get when you put dogs and cross-country running together? Well, there you go. That's basically what we're talking about. So what do you get when you put these things together, when you add them together, when you mix them together? What's the answer? You guys know. You get Canicross. There you go. That's the sport. And yeah, dogs and cross-country running. That's basically it. Now, where is it from? We find out next. It's from Europe. And before it became a sport, it was a way to train sled dogs in the summer. Very interesting. I did not know that. So this is something that people were doing for a long time, not as a sport, and maybe even the name Canicross hadn't been invented yet, but people have been exercising with dogs by running through forests in the summer for a long time, but their goal was to train sled dogs. Sled dogs are those dogs that you see pulling sleds across the snow. Inuit or Eskimo people have been doing it for thousands of years. They have races in cold parts of the world like Canada, Alaska, Norway, Sweden. And of course, as an athlete, and these dogs who pull the sleds are athletes, they are very healthy, very strong, and can run for a long time. Any kind of athlete has to train. To train is kind of like to practice, but really you're just making your body practice. Your muscles, your lungs, your heart, you're getting stronger and faster. You can run longer and longer. If you're an athlete or if you're serious about staying healthy, you probably want to train. And of course, if you play a sport, you will have to train with the other people on the team. It's kind of like practicing, but of course you're running and sweating and breathing hard and getting healthier and stronger at the same time. Now, of course, sled dogs do most of their sports in the winter when there's snow to pull the sleds along. What do they do in the summer? That's how they invented Canicross. Because, of course, the summer is a season. We have 4 seasons in the year: winter, spring, summer, and fall or autumn. Summer is that one that goes from June to September. It's the hottest time of the year, in the north at least, the sunniest time. And you won't find snow to pull your sled dogs across. You'll have to be doing it over grass or through forests with lots of green trees, because the summertime, of course, is warm, it's hot, things grow. It's a great time to have a holiday, but maybe not a great time to be a sled dog who wants to train. All right, we'll find out more about Canicross after this quick break.
When people do Canicross, they don't just run with their dogs. The dogs are actually in front of them, so the dogs help pull them along. The dogs wear a special harness. The people join that to their belt with a bungee cord. That keeps them and their dogs safe.
All right, so Canicross is a new sport that came from the old training of sled dogs. But of course, it's changed a little bit when they took it from training sled dog teams, usually 6, 8, 10 dogs, to just having one dog like we do in Canicross. So what else is different? Well, it says when people do Canicross, they don't just run with their dogs. So it's not quite as simple as just, running through the park with your dog at your side. And in fact, where the dog is makes Canicross a little bit different. As it says, the dogs are actually in front of them. So the dogs help pull them along. Very interesting, kind of like what sled dogs do. With sled dogs, they'll be out in front, a team of dogs, and they'll be attached to a sled, and the driver or the musher will stand on the sled and yell out commands to the dogs. In the same way with Canicross, the dog is the leader and the human is following along. And then we also read, the dogs wear a special harness, just like sled dogs do, but different from what most people would use to walk their dog in the park. Just a collar, C-O-L-L-A-R, around the neck, that wouldn't be safe if you're doing Canicross. You need something a little bit better like a harness. Now, what is a harness? A harness is basically just a combination of straps or bands of some kind that's been put together in a way to hold things together and or to keep things safe. If you've ever seen someone jumping out of an airplane with a parachute, or doing bungee jumping where you jump off a bridge, you have to wear a harness. They attach the rope or the parachute to this very special thing, goes over your shoulders, around your waist, maybe through your legs, to make sure that when the parachute opens or when the bungee stretches, you don't fall off because the harness is keeping you there nice and safe. Another time you might have seen it is when they're making superhero movies and you see the actors in their special studio flying through the air. Often they're using a harness to pull those actors up into the air. So it attaches to you very tightly and very safely so that you don't fall out or the harness doesn't come off. It says the people join that to their belt with a bungee cord. Oh, okay, here we have bungee. I mentioned bungee jumping. A bungee cord is the same type of thing. It's not a rope. It's made of rubber or elastic and it can stretch quite a long way. I think they have the similar thing for dogs when you're walking them, just so the dog doesn't get caught, or if it pulls you, it doesn't, hurt the dog or the human. So this bungee cord can stretch, kind of like a little elastic band. As the article says, the bungee cord, that keeps them and their dogs safe. So the dogs have a bit of freedom to kind of run faster. They're attached to the harness, and the bungee makes sure that they don't go too far. Because of course, you're working as a team. And as a team of human and dog, you want to be joined together with that dog. To join, this verb basically means to take two things that are separate, that are on their own, and put them together in some kind of way. When you're putting on a belt, you have to put the belt on in a way that at the end it will join together and stop your pants from falling down. In another way, you could join together with other people by holding their hands. Or in a relationship, we can say when people get married, they join their lives together. Two separate things that are now sort of tied or united and now become one. And we also had that word belt. I mentioned belt when talking about joining. A belt is something you wear around your pants or maybe at the top of a skirt, and it will keep your pants or skirt from falling down. If you're wearing a coat, it might have a belt that you tie in the front so it doesn't blow or fall open. So belts are very useful for keeping things nice and tight. And I guess if you're doing Canicross, the bungee is attached to your belt, so that means the person, their hands are free, which is safer and more convenient. So there you go. Some basic information to kind of have an idea of what Canicross is. We'll get much more into it tomorrow, so please do come back and join us for that.
What do you get when you put dogs and cross-country running together? You get Canicross. It's from Europe, and before it became a sport, it was a way to train sled dogs in the summer. When people do Canicross, they don't just run with their dogs. The dogs are actually in front of them, so the dogs help pull them along. The dogs wear a special harness. The people join that to their belt with a bungee cord. That keeps them and their dogs safe.
Hi, I'm Tina. 我们来看这一课的重点单字。第一个 train 动词训练。We're trying to train our dog to sit. 我们正努力训练我们的狗坐下。下一个单字 summer 名词夏天夏季。I often go surfing in the summer. 我夏天常去冲浪。下一个单字 join动词连接结合。The bridge joins the two islands. 这座桥把两个岛屿连接起来。最后一个单字 belt 名词腰带皮带。We bought a belt for Dad's birthday. 我们买了一条皮带当做爸爸的生日礼物。接着我们来看重点文法。第一个 a way to 加动词做某事的一种方式。way 是一个名词，表示方式、方法的意思。我们来看看这个例句 ：Reading books is a way to expand your knowledge. 阅读书籍是扩充知识的一种方式。Expand 指的是扩充。下一个文法 pull somebody along 拉着某人前行。Pull 指的是拉拖 ，along 在这里指的是一个副词，表示向前。我们来看看这个例句。Danny grabbed my hand and pulled me along to catch the train. Danny 抓住我的手，拉着我一起去赶火车。 grab 指的是抓住。最后一个文法 keep 加名词加形容词，使某个东西保持某一种状态。keep 在这里是一个连缀动词，它的三态是 keep, kept, kept。我们来看看这个例句。I try to keep my room clean and tidy. 我努力保持我的房间干净整洁。以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，回去记得复习哦。我们下一次再见，拜拜。
Hello everybody, welcome! Today we are going to the Central Fountain in Chiayi. Now this used to be part of the city wall, which was later destroyed by an earthquake. If you go there, you will probably find out about Chen Chengpo, who used to be a famous painter who depicts the fountain in many of his famous paintings. But now it's surrounded by shops and important events are held here, so why don't we watch the video and find out more?
The Central Fountain is located at the roundabout on Zhongshan Road. This roundabout is one of the busiest places in Chiayi. In the past, the fountain was part of the Chiayi city wall. It was also called the Peach's Tip. The wall was damaged by an earthquake and torn down during the period of Japanese rule. This part was later turned into a roundabout with a small fountain in the middle. The famous late oil painter, Chen Chengpo, used to paint here. The Central Fountain can be seen in his works Central Fountain in Chiayi and Downtown Chiayi. These paintings depict what the Central Fountain and people's lives looked like in the past. In 1970, the city mayor, Xi Xian, turned the roundabout into the rainbow-colored Central Fountain present today. Now, there are various shops surrounding the Central Fountain. The fountain also has a spectacular evening light show. A large golden statue was built in 2014 and placed in the middle of the fountain. This statue was built to commemorate Wu Mingjie. He was a pitcher for the Kano baseball team in 1928. He sometimes gets a makeover for the city's events. This fountain is not just a check-in spot for your social media. Many of Chiayi's important events are also held here. The annual Chiayi City International Band Festival is one of these. Symphonic bands from around the world come to Chiayi and gather at the Central Fountain. Local residents and visitors alike come to watch the show. In addition to the band festival, Democratic Night is a well-known campaign in Chiayi City. The night before Election Day, candidates and their respective groups meet at the Central Fountain to garner support from the local citizens. The deafening sounds of political campaigning fill the air at the Central Fountain. The Central Fountain is a glorious place. It means a lot to the people of Chiayi.
Being located in the central of Chiayi, the Central Fountain is definitely a place for people to all come together and experience the heart of Chiayi. And what I think is cool is going at night because it's all lit up and looks really beautiful. So if you're in Chiayi, be sure not to miss the Central Fountain. We'll see you next time.